Welcome to the LifeFlight Helipad Safety Training video. The safety of the helicopter crew, the medical staff, and of course the patient depend on a helipad that is well maintained and adheres to best practices for safety. This video will cover things you should know as a designated steward of the helipad, including helipad maintenance and prep, year-round and seasonal, and safety and security around the aircraft on the helipad. Anyone who has full or part-time responsibility for helipad maintenance should watch this video as part of their instruction. Helipad maintenance and preparation. In this section we'll cover FOD hazards, UAV hazards, helipad lighting, windsocks, and considerations for winter conditions. Helipad safety starts with keeping anything that doesn't belong around an operating helicopter out of the helipad area. This includes natural foreign objects like trash, stones, or anything that can be picked up and thrown by the rotor wash. And it also includes things like blankets, tools, medical equipment, hats, traffic cones, or anything else that might be brought onto the pad from ground or air crews. This foreign object debris, or FOD, is dangerous to flight crews and ground crews alike, as it can be ingested into the engine, leading to failure, or it can be thrown at high speeds from the rotor wash, creating a dangerous projectile. Whenever flight operations are likely, you should walk the helipad and check for FOD and clear it if necessary. Keep an eye out for airborne hazards as well during your FOD walk, especially as aircraft are leaving or arriving, to make sure there are no unmarked hazards like UAVs or drones operating in the airspace. Listen and look for UAVs and report them to the pilot. Also take care to keep RVs and other high-aspect vehicles away from the landing site, as the rotor wash will affect them stronger than other cars. You are in charge of maintaining the helipad, including lighting and markers for the helipad, making sure they're in working order or not damaged or aimed in such a way that could cause confusion or impede the pilot's vision during nighttime operations. It is also your responsibility to keep a well-lit and functioning windsock. If your windsock is damaged and you need a replacement, contact LifeFlight at the number shown below. Winter conditions require special consideration for ground and flight crew safety. You should make sure the helipad is free of snow and ice, as it can be a slip and fall hazard. Loose snow and ice also present a whiteout hazard and a FOD hazard for the flight crew. If your helipad isn't heated, you will need to clear and de-ice it for winter operations. It is imperative that you use only aviation ice melt on the pad. Never use rock salt or other aggregates. Rock salt is corrosive to the helicopter, and both it and rock aggregate create debris that can be accelerated to dangerous speeds with rotor wash. Safety. In this section we'll cover helipad security and safety around the helicopter. Most helipads are permanent ground or roof installations and will have fencing to designate off-limit areas. However, some helipads share space with parking or other trafficked areas and require special considerations for security. During flight operations, the helipad needs to be free of all traffic in a 100 by 100 foot area and marked off with heavy markers that won't pose a FOD hazard. Restrict helipad access to vehicles and people anytime the helicopter is arriving, departing, or waiting to depart. Only assigned ground and flight crews ought to be permitted on the helipad whenever there is a helicopter present, especially during arrival and departure. Operating around an active or static helicopter can be dangerous for ground crew and aircraft alike, and so safety around the helicopter is of critical importance. In this section we'll cover safe and danger zones, equipment precautions, personal protection, and hot loading scenarios. Even if a helicopter is powered down, there are strict safety protocols to prevent injury and damage to the aircraft. The most important of these are no-go areas, as illustrated here. When approaching a helicopter, always approach from the side or front. Stay low as you approach, and never lift anything above your head, including your hands, during approach. Never go behind a helicopter or near the tail rotor. During operation, the tail rotor can be very hard to discern due to its high speed, and impact with the tail rotor will cause severe injury or death. Even with the aircraft powered down, it is important for the flight crew to maintain visual contact with ground crew, to ensure their safety. Behind the aircraft is a blind zone for the flight crew. In addition, damage to the low-hanging tail may occur if struck by a cart or tool. Never approach the rear of the helicopter or walk around the back of the helicopter unless directed by the flight crew. Ground crews should wear appropriate eye and ear protection as well as high visibility jackets and should be instructed about the dangers of rotor wash and rotor height before working on an active helipad. Special care should be given to equipment that's used to bring patients to and from the helicopter. Gurney blankets, hats, or other loose objects may be picked up and carried by rotor wash. Hot loading is when a helicopter does not power down and stop its rotors before unloading or loading can take place. It's very rare that a helicopter will need to be hot loaded, but in either case, it's best to assume the same dangers whether running or not. Never approach a running helicopter unless instructed to do so by the flight crew. On the ground, the flight crew is in charge with respect to the helicopter. If you are asked to assist with loading, unloading, or helping carry gear, do so only at the direction of the flight crew. Do not assist in opening or closing aircraft doors. Damage to doors can occur with very little effort and can ground an aircraft. Flight crews are responsible for all operations of the helicopter. When the helicopter is on the ground, you should be aware of traffic around the helicopter, including pedestrian and vehicle traffic, if it's a shared space, or ground crews to ensure safety of crew and craft. The safety of the flight crew, the ground crew, and the patient all depend on safe conditions on the helipad. Review this video with your assigned helipad manager, medical and ground crews, and security staff regularly to ensure safe practices. If you have any additional questions or need additional resources, including a LifeFlight safety poster, contact LifeFlight at this number.